Rick Lord here for Rick Lord TV and Movie Light Photography behind the scenes. Today I'm in the studio with Kara, who I'm using for my model today. You know, many times I'm asked, do you only use motion picture lighting instruments? The answer? No, not always. In fact, using non-photographic off-the-shelf lighting instruments can not only be a lot of fun, but also create some pretty interesting effects. Case in point. I've attached a baby pin to the back of this 4-foot, 2-bulb fluorescent shop light, allowing me to mount it to a C-stand. I can now use the light as a portable on-set lighting instrument, just like any other motion picture lighting instrument of this general weight and size. Fluorescent lights are typically green in hue and photographed with tungsten filter settings on the camera. A little later, to augment the green even more, I'm going to fasten to the front of the fluorescent light a small piece of color correction half green gel. This will create a more film noir look and feel to Kara's face. The cool thing, this light only costs all of about 20 bucks. Not bad for a fun, easy to get lighting instrument. Kara, you ready? Before we get into the non-traditional lighting schemes, I'm going to first get a typical portrait shot of Kara. I'm going to use a 3/4 front key, a 3/4 back hair light with the standard tungsten 3200 Kelvin color balance. This will provide a reference shot to compare with all the other non-traditional images. Also, for all of the shots I'll be getting today, I'll be using an 85mm lens. As you can see, we have a pretty standard look, for portraits that is. The lighting and skin tones are normal and for all intents and purposes, very typical for portraiture. Keep in mind, I'll be showing you the images as both before and after any Photoshop work has been done to clean up any blemishes and flyaway hair. This is to show you none of the shots have been color corrected. The color you see is what the camera captured. Now that we have our reference images, I'm going to bring in the fluorescent fixture and light Kara for a more film noir appearance. By positioning the fluorescent as a side key light as opposed to the more traditional 3/4 front key light position, it will add even more of that edgy feel. As you can see, using the fluorescent light is a bit more dramatic, especially compared to the traditional image shot with the softboxes and normal 3200 Kelvin lamps. I'm only using the one light. There's no hair light, and I'm using a bounce card on the dark side of Kara's face to work as a fill. What I'm going to do now is add a little hair light to Kara, but for this shot, I'm going to shift the color of the hair light as well. Just like with the traditional shot, I'll be using the 300-watt Fresnel on a stand. However, I'll be adding a sheet of party color royal blue to the front of the light. Along with the ultra green fluorescent key, the combination of the two lights gives a nice cool feel to the image. Again, you can see how the image has taken on another different kind of feel. The cool blue and green tones give the image a night exterior look, giving even more of an edge to the overall look. By removing Kara's fill card that was positioned on the dark side of her face, that side of her face now falls way into the black, maximizing the film noir look. Last but not least, one more shift in color. I'm going to place in front of the instrument a piece of party gel magenta. Because the green hue given off by the fluorescent light is close to the blue gel we used for the hair light, if stared at for any length of time, both green and blue color spectrums will begin to cancel each other out. Using red will not only solve that issue, but will bring even more of the green hue out of the fluorescent. In this image, the green hue of the fluorescent light, green is magnified by adding red light to Kara's hair. Again, another look and feel altogether. Understanding cool lighting tricks can really make the difference between boring and wow. As you saw in each of the different lighting scenarios, each were equally dramatic, and each gave a completely different dramatic interpretation. I use many types of lighting instruments, and while most are of the standard motion picture type lights, others I use are just like the fluorescents I used here. The point I'm making here is don't be afraid to experiment with different kinds of lighting instruments. Understanding Kelvin temperature and light value is a must for the creative person behind the lens. If you don't yet understand color temperature, check out my book at movielightphotography.com. There's much more information on this and many other lighting scenarios. See you next time.